percentage of. And everything that I feel has had any kind of impact or meaning starts with whether or not there is trust in the relationship. Trust from the very beginning related to the contracting and being authentic related to the expectations, all the way to the contractors that we hire, the coaches and the trainers and the experts, and their level of authenticity. And at the end, whether or not they are folks who are trustworthy, but also are human and genuine and authentic, which I believe are all aspects of a high trust relationship. So when I was thinking about that question, even before I knew you were going to ask it to me, I was like, if we can't be authentic, then we're not real. And if we're not real, we're not trustworthy. And that's just me. Right. But that was what was coming to mind for me about why this is so incredibly important.
Mm. Thank you for sharing, Anissa. I see Robert's in the room, and we'll get started officially, but I want you to play just along with me really quickly. And most of you already know the answer to this, especially if you're dealing with me. I want you to guess this word, and most of you already know it, but it's a word that um, everybody needs. Some feel like it's a feeling. Corporations list it on their website, organizations talk about it, and most leaders talk about it in the form and the context of their culture. Would anyone like to guess what that word is? Anybody?
Authenticity.
Authenticity. That's a good one. What's that word, everybody else? Who else would like to share what that word is? What they think the word is?
Vision.
Well, there's no lack of using the term trust.
That's the word. As Anissa has mentioned, over the years, we've done a lot of work with Fortune 1000 companies, and most listed as a feeling. Some say it's a value, but very few can operationalize it. I don't want to use big words today, but operationalizing trust is something the world needs more of. The world's in a trust deficit. In today's chat here, we'll be out of here by 1 o'clock. We got started a little late, but I want to welcome everybody to the call and just share with you. There's no sales techniques today. There's no NLP or any of those things. I want to have an authentic conversation with the people on the call. Most of you are already enrolled in this book, and it's an authentic conversation about joining potentially a movement that can make the world a more trusting place. That's the purpose of today's call. After today's call, if you have questions and you have not had a chance to connect with me personally, I'll share the research behind trust flow. I'll share the scientific validation that we have. But just know, for the very first time ever, as a coach, as a consultant, as a trainer, as a leader, as a mom, as a dad, all of those things throughout your lifetime, your life continuum, trust can now be coached. It can be made to be operationalized. It can be scaled, and it can be made to be repeatable. We have tons of success stories at the corporate level. Been doing a lot of work with this for over the years in my faith-based community as well. So we have a whole spectrum of why trust matters. And today's call is just going to be just about trust flow and the work that we're standing up. So as a coach, I want to get a couple of agreements. Would that be okay if I get a couple of agreements for us today? The first agreement is no egos, no titles, no excuses, no judgment. Again, we're just enrolling people into a vision today. We'll continue to have these conversations about potentially joining a movement that makes the world a more trusting place. That's our purpose of the call today. We're going to turn it over to Robert to make some introductions and let Steve introduce himself and the platform. And then we'll just walk through our website. And at the end of the website, we'll give you a chance to ask questions. And then that will be our time here in the next now 47 minutes. Robert, how would you like to open this up, brother? Robert, we can't hear you, Robert. The microphone. So Steve, as Robert gets his mic straightened up, would you share your background really quickly? This is an amazing man. He's been a CEO, amazing corporations, and it's super excited to have him as part of our tribe of trust. Love the tool that he's created called Pitch. And Steve, would you share your background really quickly and talk about just Pitch really quickly and why we're going to be using it today?
I would. Thank you very much, Jeff, for the introduction.
We
And
good?
yeah,
Yes.
can you hear me? Okay, good. I just want to say that I was the CEO of 3 different international sales and marketing companies for about 25 or 30 years, and was lucky enough to create over $4 billion in sales during that period of time. And a lot of that, Jeff, as you said, was based on trust and authenticity because it was based on relationships. And when you do relationship selling, your only currency is trust and authenticity. And one of the things where that led me was actually to run Success Magazine and become somewhat of an expert on personal growth and development and hear many other people's versions on trust and authenticity and communication. And so I think I have a unique insight and appreciation for what you're talking about today. But one of the things that I did was consulting. And Mary Kay was my client at the time with 3.1 million independent sales reps around the world and building an emotional relationship with those people. And Zoom had approached me about trying to get market share before going public, trying to leverage my trust that I had built up with those companies. Yeah. And I said the only way that I would move forward was if I could create a unique solution for them, as opposed to just suggesting that they purchase Zoom. And one of those things that I was focused on was the ability for people to act in real time. What I saw in webinars was that everyone ended a webinar with, let me send a text in the chat with a hope and a prayer that someone will follow up later. And what I said is, if you're going to build trust, if you're going to build authenticity, if you're going to build a relationship, it can't happen tomorrow. It has to happen in the moment. And so that moment for me was, which many of you may not realize, is this screen that you're looking at today, the Trust Flow screen, is actually interactive. You can actually take your mouse, your finger, your iPad, your computer, and you can actually interact with the screen in real time. And as the host at any time, I can grab control of the screen and be in control of the journey. And so when you're trying to build that relationship with people, I don't want to say, can you click on the about button? Can you click on the how it works button and everyone chaotically going where they want? No, I'm in control of the screen. I can take you on the journey right now. And then if I'm blessed enough to write a powerful book or become a part of a book the way that you have, and I want you to take that action to actually get the book, I could bring that page up to get the book. I could ask you to click on join the wait list, and I can make it interactive for not just one-to-one, but up to 600 people at the same time. And when you talk about building trust, I want you to know it's in complete privacy. That if we have 30 people on or 50 people on or 600 people on, and you're putting in your personal information into that screen, the only person that can see that information is you. Nobody can see your credit card, doesn't get recorded. It's not in a database. It just allows you in a collaborative experience to have a private moment to take an action, whatever that host may suggest, whether that be Robert or whether that be Jeff. And so for me, when you're dealing in the information business, the sharing of communications, the sharing of books and messages, when is someone most likely to take the action to purchase that book or enroll in a program? It's when you're talking about it. Imagine, meet the author for 15 minutes. It's like a book signing at Central Park West. That's when people can do this. And you can actually work with affiliates or salespeople or friends and family who believe in the books as much as you do, because you can create multiple invite links to the same meeting. So when they invite their guests to hear you speak or purchase the book, you'll get to see that in a report after the meeting of how many people showed up and because of who. And when you're building a community, right, based on everyone believing in the same message, it's really nice to know who are the ones out there being most effective at sharing that message and inviting people so they can do that. So I know many of you, there may be 25 or 30 authors in a book. Imagine every week launching a city right here on a webinar. Maybe 1 week Robert is featured, 1 week Jamie is featured in his city, his chapter, his moment, his guests, but everyone can participate, and you can all use your replicated websites. So if you're all selling the books on Amazon, you could use Amazon as the site. If you're using your own personal website, you can use that. You can make virtually any website in the world completely interactive during the meeting. So that's the power in this. This is all about communicating more effectively with people, and which I would say allows you to build trust, relationship, and ultimately authenticity.
Thank you, Steve.
You're
That's
welcome.
awesome.
Thank you
That's
for inviting me.
We have a bunch of, I said, highly influential, creative innovators on the call. Glad we could use this very first interactive webinar to use pitch. We'll be doing some more introductions to pitch at a later date. But I want to welcome some of the folks I saw come on late. Brent Kessler from the Money Multiplier. If you don't know who he is, look him up on LinkedIn. Very powerful gentleman. Brent, thank you for joining us. My brother, Carlos, as well, is a sports team owner. He owns a sports soccer team at multiple levels. They're building a stadium. So we have sports owners on the call. We have people from various walks of life, from various trust continuums, all enrolling in this idea that trust needs to be made visible, and we can build it in community with a collective of authors just like you. So, Robert, I'm going to turn it over to you, brother. I'm conscious of our time. We got about 40 minutes left. What would you like to share as we start to move a little forward in our presentation today? Robert's still having some trouble. So Steve, let me have you just scroll down a little bit here where it says 30 days to high trust life. And as you see, it's the very first global co-authored movement to build, sustain, and repair trust one day, one story, and one leader at a time. And so I'm not going to go through all of the website. I'd rather hear from a lot of you all about why you're involved in this movement right now. Some of you, I call you, is anybody familiar with the innovation of diffusion, diffusion of innovation theory? Anybody familiar with that theory? If you are, unmute yourself and share. The diffusion of innovation theory. If you're familiar with it, unmute yourself and share what it is. Steve, you can stop right now.
Jeff, is this a book?
Yes, ma'am. No, it's a theory.
Okay.
Yvonne, are you raising your hand, Yvonne? No. So let me just share the suspense here. Hold on, Steve. Don't move any further. Go back up to the top of the page for me. The diffusion of innovation says that when a movement is launched, it's only about 3% of the people who will adopt the vision early on. And why is that important? Because people like Anissa Avon, Gil Merrick, Robert Curtin, Robert Santana, before I got off the call, had already purchased their enrollment in the book. They are the pioneers of the movement. And then later on, we have, and John Verico's there too from the very beginning. And then we have the early adopters, right? So we have Dr. Jamie Valenzuela also was before 24 hours was up. He had already purchased his page in the book. Pioneers in the movement. And the next 3 to 7% are early adopters. But that 1 to 13% will move the movement so that the other, what they call laggards, those people who come afterwards, make the movement a global thing. So when people go, oh, Anissa Avon's in the book, what? Dr. Jenny Craig is in the book, the person who actually wrote some of the ICF credentials, Dr. Jenny Krager, the woman transformer from Amazing Story, she's in the book. I don't know if Monica's here today, but Monica Poole Knox, African-American lady she's 1% of the population in the whole world that has a venture capital fund. By the way, Monica knows me for 13, 14 years now, so she can speak to trust and authenticity for me. But when people like that get involved, the other people come later on. Does that make sense? So you all are early adopters and pioneers, and you'll spearhead the movement along with the others on the call. Robert, is your mic unmuted, brother? Can you?
I certainly hope so. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. Yes, Robert.
Okay, we got some green going because I'm not on my account. Actually, Steve Jameson's on my account today, so I had to set up totally different. And I was thinking about many things, and I owe much of my life ambitions to my mom. And as you said, back in the very early 90s, my mom, she was a professor, and she had to fight her way all her life, to get what she has. So let me tell you, she comes from the world of not even being able to sign to get a card or have a home, to do many things. And it's really with great acknowledgement and intention that I bring her to light with all of us here, because she was one of the true first trailblazers. And Jeffrey, one of the things I was thinking as I was listening to Anissa is like, what does trust look like for me? And one of the biggest things I look at is trust starts with acknowledgement and true intention, knowing a person's name, knowing their business, knowing the audience that's served. The second thing is fulfillment. Isn't trust about fulfillment, everyone? I mean, is it not about fulfillment? And to me, when you take on a client, you have a promise to serve. And service is in that fulfillment. But lastly, the most important thing that I see that I've learned from Jeffrey, when it comes to trust, it's all about value. Valuing that person and reciprocating in that value. And that's why I'm proud that Brent Kessler is here in this room today. I have known Brent for years now. I know his daughter. I've known John Verico. I know Yvonne Gamble, Robert Santana through you, Jeff, Eric Ranks. And what I'm seeing most about this movement is trust starts in one place. It starts from the heart first. And if the heart starts, the mind will follow. And if the mind follows, all of our skills will line up for our success. And so that's why I'm so excited about being here today. But even more so, that we get to be the first people to create an ecosystem that's never truly existed before. That's what I think is the most amazing and promising thing that each and every one of us has today, Jeffrey. And that's what I'm excited about.
Thank you, Robert. If you're familiar with people like Stephen Covey, the Speed of Trust, if you're into the academic world, Dr. Paul Zach's work around the trust factor. For the first time ever, as Robert has said, we can measure trust. Hugh Massey is not on the call today, but he's the CEO of DNA Behavior, and Leon Morales, who are part of the movement. These gentlemen have been measuring trust for over 25 years. Now, we're taking it to another level because we're developing a whole suite of products that include just the focus on trust, whether it's at the sub-factor level, at the factor level, and developing strategies and exercises for the groups that we work with, Anissa, based on trust flow, having a whole team be able to measure their trust muscle. So I won't get too much into the weeds about the tools. Just know that we have the platforms to design the very first ever whole life trust ecosystem, because trust applies in all of our life. If you're trusted at home, you're trusted at work, but you're not trusted at home, is that winning or losing?
Losing.
My wife's on a call. I don't know if she can hear me or not. My querida, I always say, if my wife don't trust me, y'all shouldn't. That's my personal conviction. Don't have to be yours. But if trust starts with her and it ripples out, that's why I have her on the call. She's at work today, but she took a moment to make sure that I can mention her so she can say whether she trusts me or not. But trust starts at home for me. We have 6 Black and brown kids. I am the proud, I don't want to say stepfather, but the father of 6 Black and brown kids. And if you're a step parent, if any of you know the song back in the day from Run DMC, any Run DMC fans in the house? You all know the song, It's Tricky?
Mm-hmm.
Being a step parent is tricky, y'all.
Yes,
Being a parent is tricky. So what definitely want to have a little bit of fun. We want to make sure that we're not, too totally business-like here, but just know that there's a lot of research behind what we're doing, starting at the family level, rippling out for the individual coach consultant level, can be cascaded into teams, can be cascaded throughout the entire organization, throughout the community, and throughout the world. That's the vision, but it starts at home for me personally. Robert, let's just walk through the website in the next 15, 20 minutes. We'll open it up to some conversation. And again, today, this is meant to spark more conversation and a little more detail with me on a one-on-one call and Robert. Robert, walk us through the website, brother.
Let's see. Let me catch the website here.
Yeah. Steve, are you in control of the website? Yeah. Let's scroll down the page a little bit. Let's talk about the wave real quick, Robert. Share with them why we designed the book cover the way that we did.
There's a couple of things. Well, there's actually multiple things here. And when we get to the second cover, I'm going to discuss how the first cover and the second cover align together. But one of the major impacts is we wanted to say is we create bright light. We are creating illumination, but we have both the impact of the sea and we have the eyes of the universe on us. And we felt like this was a major way that we could capture what we're doing in trust flow by going back to the beginning and seeing a part of ourselves as a part of life itself. And we felt there was no better way than showing the beauty of the ocean, the skies, and the sun illuminating us all. Now, this particular picture, for those who have a real keen eye, actually comes up from the eastern seaboard. And so if we scroll down, Jeffrey, do you have the other picture there?
Mm-hmm.
This picture here actually comes from the west coast of the United States, and you see that the sun sets.
Wow.
And one of the biggest things we wanted everyone to see, even if they may not have seen it in words, is to know that trust starts from the moment we're up to the moment we go to sleep at night. And it's always there from beginning to end. Just like the ocean, just like the sun, just like the sea and the sky above. That's how powerful this is. And those two pictures were the power of what we're doing with Trust Flow.
Steve, would you scroll back up a little bit, brother? So this first book is our collaborative book. And it's a book where we're enrolling 30 authors from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different parts of the world right now. People from India, Africa, people from all over the globe are enrolling as authors and excited about this very first global network of ambassadors of trust. Hasn't existed to this day. Practitioners who are trust-based leaders and trust-based practitioners in their business coming together and sharing their collective thoughts. We think it's going to be very powerful. Robert's going to talk about the power of being an international best-selling author in just a little bit. He's going to talk about making this a legacy work. So if you're into legacy work like I am, I'm 58 years old. Not that I'm old, but man, I want to be able to take off my slippers one day and go, man, I did something that was legendary. Building a legacy. So we'll talk about that. Mo Rock is not on the call. If you don't know who he is, go look him up. He is the CEO and founder of the Los Angeles Tribune. He is coming and he's going to make sure that our book is labeled as a critically acclaimed bestseller. So not only are we going to be a two-time international best-selling author, not only are we going to be in the Library of Congress, but we're also going to have digital pub on the Los Angeles Tribune, and it's 20 different publications. So we're going to do an unbelievable job marketing all of our authors and rolling into the movement. And that's our collaboration book. 30 different authors, 30 different viewpoints for trust, and really excited about the artwork, Robert, that you has done. That's a really cool picture. Would it be okay for me to be informal for a moment? Would it be okay?
Go ahead, Jeff. This is fun.
I'd just like to say that's dope, Robert.
This is our fun, man. This is our fun. Come on.
That is dope, brother. Robert, share a little bit about the work journals. Steve, would you scroll down?
Say again, Jeffrey?
Yeah, we'll just go back to the work journal. just before this, Robert, talk a little bit about why we're developing our 30-day high trust journal and how we're going to build trust muscles for our audience.
Well, I mean, I think I want to kind of go through this, and there's a little bit of backstory to this particular history. I've worked with some amazing companies in my lifetime. I call myself a recovering programmer. And I worked in the programming. I worked with Realtor.com, Lensco Private Ledger, eFood Safety, Nuvalex, GoDaddy, Intuit, etc. And one of the things that's interesting about the tech world is I always felt there was always like one tech guy and everyone else was non-tech in the room. And, and so it was like I was always like the oddball guy. It was like everyone else came up with the ideas, but there was always like one person that had to bring them all together, and that was me in the room. And about 20 years ago, and my mom remembers this really well, we were working with a major international company that did risk-free trials, and it was this company did pharmaceutical and nutraceutical products, and one day the CEO came in, slammed the table, and said, "We need more sick people." Think about that. We need more sick people. And I decided to get out of my my background of programming. But one of the things that happened more recently is COVID came into our lives. And I thought, I have, thousands of people. They're in my entrepreneur group from around the world. I'm like, how can I help them? What can I do? And so we came up with a book series called The Art of Connection, which we've had over 1,600 authors in this book series. But I'm one who says, but wait, there's more. What can we do to create more? And we tried something with my software. I have a proprietary software called Auto Manuscript. And what I said was, we can do more than just make a book. We can make books. One of the hardest thing to get from authors, from Kelly, from Anissa, from Yvonne, from Gil, from Robert, is to get continuous content coming from them. What if I could create a system where only one time I can get all the content at once and then incrementally release books over time, creating authority in the generative channel to help us all get our individual businesses seen and this movement? And so that's what I tested out. I shared that with Jeffrey in the 5th book that we did, and now in the 6th book on resilience. And I said, this is what we need to do with trust flow. Because one thing, if there's anything I learned from Dr. Virginia Krieger, who's on this call from me, she says, Robert, in my generation, you lived in a publish or perish world. You live in a publish or perish world. And I remember, and I thought, you know what? She's absolutely right. Now that we're in generative search, I want everyone to think about what the generative search looks like. If you are not attributable, you are not being published. If you are not attributable, you are not being found. And what we wanted to do with this 2-book series is give each and every author of this journey 2 books. One in the quote book, which explains who we are and how we operate through trust. And then a journal, so people can once examine us again and also examine themselves because of our own stories. And so that's why we wanted to have 2 books, because we felt there was so much more. But this journey is not going to end with just these 2 books. There will be so much more, because there's always so much more. But we knew we needed to get something out on the marketplace. We knew we needed to have something that would entice every person in this room. And like Sharon Lecter told me, when I said, is there really a difference between 16 and 17-time international best-selling author, when I introduced her, and she said, yes, it's like the difference between 16 and 17 children. And I'm a Marine, Jeffrey's a Marine, and one of her sons died who was a Marine. And I'll never forget that. And she said, businesses fail because they fail to know their numbers. You know what I love about our numbers is we're all the innovators. And this is what is so meaningful to this book. To me, only 23% of Americans have trust versus the standard scale that was developed in the 50s. 23%. Only 6% trust big tech. Only 12% trust our own government. We have a trust issue. We don't have a productivity issue. Once we begin to trust again, we will become productive again. I can almost guarantee that. That's why this journal matters. That's why this book matters, because it shares that piece of you in the most, what we said, authentic way. And I say, when I say authentic way, I mean you. And you get to do it twice in this series. And that's what's so exciting for me to do, is to be a part of this process where we get to do it together.
Powerful, Robert. Let's scroll down a little bit further. We're going to be finished up the next 7, 8 minutes or so. But let's just look at some of the people who have joined our movement. Some of you know Leon Morales, Leonard Kama, the former CEO. Would you pause? I don't know if we can pause that. But Leonard Kama, former CEO of the Jack in the Box Corporation. We have Gil Merrick, who's on the call today, Dr. Robert Catan, Mo Rock, Robert Jones, Ira Rosen, if you don't know Ira, very powerful LinkedIn strategist. So we have a global collective of people that are gathering and enrolling in our movement. Would you scroll down a little bit further, Steve? Robert, you can walk through this in the next 3 or 4 minutes about published author status, exclusive network, marketing leverage. Then we'll end up the call here, and then I'll take some questions before we leave.
So not to get too technical, but when we complete our books, what we ask for our published author status is this one thing. My software is non-AI influenced. And I do that for one big reason. Every author, we will require that you write your particular chapter in your own words. And then we will have a human editor to take those words and make sure that they're grammatically and thematically correct. Why is that? Because at this point in time, the Library of Congress, which I have an association with, demands that the books that come into their library are no more than 7% AI influenced. And so for each one of us who's on this Zoom today, what does that mean for us? It means if we create our chapters that are human written, human edited, in a vacuum, and that are produced and sent to the Library of Congress, we will receive our LCCN number, which is something that is now hard to come by. What we will also receive is something else. And I tell people all this all the time. I love AI like no one else. But AI only attributes your unique human thoughts. So let's utilize those thoughts to change this world, and you utilize AI to announce it to the world. That's how AI and our human thoughts work together hand in hand. Now, when it comes to an exclusive network access, all of us will be able, if we haven't already, be able to claim these 2 books on our Amazon profile. If we don't have an Amazon profile, we will help you get an Amazon profile so you can take those 2 books and put them on your Amazon profile. And what does this do together? Is collectively, it creates more space. We are in the breadcrumb making business. We are in the business to be seen. That is our business. And those who don't want to be seen, this may be the wrong series for you. but what we want to do is we want to pop the top off on this. And we want to be seen because we want to help. And by having at least 30 of us into the book, claiming authorship, following the book, writing our reviews, we establish a little known fact is we have something called an associative ID, which bands us together. And so every time someone is being found, we're optimized in what we call our collective entity card. And a lot of people don't understand that generative search creates an entity-based card of each and every one of us. And it's the one time in my life I say, labeling's good. Get as many labels as you possibly can have. International best-selling author, PhD, in the Library of Congress, Hey, let's go for the Guinness Book of World Records. All of those things matter because each and every one of those labels creates a credible space and place where others aren't going. Think about that for a moment. Again, if Gil Merrick is an executive coach, he has his master's degrees in, and all of a sudden, #1 international best-selling author in the Library of Congress. Oh, another book comes out as an international best-selling author, critical with the word theory that we have, and much of the word definitions that we have never been seen before. In my space, he who's first or she's who first gets the gold and creates the rules. We are in the pole position in our blue ocean to create our own rules. That's what programmers do. We help our businesses create the space where no one is and do what with it? Improve upon it, like real estate on vacant land. And then marketing leverage. I mean, I can't even express. We create an asset-based studio, and John Verico, you can speak to it as well because you've used it many times. We create an author asset studio for each and every one in this room that has your memes, that has your Library of Congress certificate, that has your swipe copy to go out. It has one sheets for each and every one of us to utilize. Why? Because this isn't Vegas, baby. We want to get our voice out there because like Doritos, each and every one of us, I hope, wants to make more. And so why am I in this? Because I like doing things that never been done. That's what I love. I love being in the blue ocean. I love creating my own island. And you know what? I want to help others create loading docks to our island. That's what makes me gleam. And so meeting Jeffrey and understanding through Gene Smart his dream, it was natural. And I said, Jeffrey, you know, they say, you know, all boats rise with the tide. And I said, you know what? Why don't we make the ocean and rise every boat? And so that's what I see that's here, you know, with us. So all of our assets, our exclusive network, which is us, and our published author status, they all conspire for one thing: our credible, visible influence that creates our success. Credibility plus visibility equals dominating influence and authority. And that's what each and every one of us, I believe, truly wants at the end of the day. The more people that can see us, the more people we can help.
Robert, as we move on, there was a couple drop your mic moments. I don't know if y'all picked up what the brother said about the rising tide and building his own island, but those were some drop the mic moments, Robert. I'm glad we were recording this because we need to put that on social media. Scroll down a little bit, Steve. And what the investment is, most of you already know what the investment is. Let's just get to it and we'll go about how it works. Scroll down a little bit, Steve.
I want to give one bonus thing.
Yeah, please.
I want to give one bonus thing. And this is for everyone in the room. And especially like Robert Santana. I want to say something with Robert. And Nisa Avon, Jamie Venezuela. When you create your name, make sure your name is the same every time you produce it. I'm not Robert Jones. I'm not Robert Jones Jr. I'm not Bob Jones. I'm not Robbie Jones. I'm Robert W. Jones. And if you put Robert W. Jones into Google, I'm #1 in all of Google. If you put Robert W. Jones into generative search, I come up and there's my picture. If you put The Art of Connection there from multi-author collaborative books, I'm there. I do it because I am consistent in my entity-based identity that attracts generative search. So if Monica, if you want to be found, if Frank wants to be found, if Eric wants to be found, if Brent Kessler wants to be found, that's what you're going to be learning also through this process, because we're also going to be creating our entity-based cards that help steer people to us. And so I just wanted to add that in there as well. It's so important to be so consistent with name, company, and audience.
If you can't tell, Robert's an expert at this. I'm so excited to have this brother.
I'm a programmer geek. I can't help it.
It's Steve.
Can't get my mic to work, but I'm a programmer geek.
Steve, would you scroll down a little bit? For those of you that you're wanting, scroll down, keep going. I'll tell you when to stop here. We have I think we have like 12 spots left. We don't have a whole lot of spots left. People are signing up and enrolling in our vision today, and so forth and so on. Scroll down a little bit. Here's what this ask is for the founding contributor price. If you're asking, right, keep your you don't have to have your hand on your wallet or anything like that. Again, we're not doing NLP sales. This is just, if you like the vision, you want to be a part of a global movement, this movement is for you. And if not, that's okay. But all of the stuff here, the professional publishing page, the superpowers assessment, the trust flow journal, scroll down a little bit further, Steve, the marketing and promotional assets. Wait till you see what Robert's done in his back office. It's amazing. The things that he's done.
John
Verico. Yeah, John.
Jeff, let John speak to that.
I will, but let me just get here really quick. Scroll back up, Steve, a little bit. All of this value, guys, is about $3,000 plus. I don't even have on here the global acclaim thing from the LA Union Tribune, the podcast I just put on here. Every single author is going to get an interview by me on a podcast, the High Trust Guy podcast. And the ask is $7.99. When we look at this is $400 per book. This isn't a big ask for anybody on this call right here. It's about, do you buy into the vision? Would you like to be a part of this global movement? Early pioneer status and that type of thing. $800. That's what the investment is. John, I'm gonna ask you to speak for 1 minute. I want us to go to the about page next. Steve, if you would, I want to introduce some of the members of my tribe of trust. But John, speak to us really quickly about the assets in the back office and the things that Robert wants you to speak about. Scroll down a little further, Steve. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, thank you very much. Robert, actually, you already talked quite a bit about what goes on behind the scenes and all the pieces that you give us, the tools that are given us to help us to make the best of all of this. I have never seen anything like what you've put together with the author suite and all the assets that come with that, and all of the backdoor work. So there's a lot that goes on here that we don't see in the front end of this business, but all the coordination that goes on in the back end for the publishing, for getting this thing, getting our products out there so that they become international bestsellers, ensuring that they hit that mark before we even start printing the hard copy version of the book, so that the hard copy version of the book winds up with that bug on it. We call it a bug, call it a shield, call it whatever you want. But getting that logo on there that says it's a #1 international bestseller, if that's where we're going with this. I mean, all that work that's happening in the background, the creation of the author suite, which gives us all of the memes that we can use to promote. It gives us imagery, photography, swipe copy, all kinds of stuff. All of that is absolutely so amazing in helping us to move forward. The coordination with the Library of Congress. I have seen what he goes through on making that work has been just phenomenal. And so one of the proudest things I have in my office, actually two of the proudest things I have in my office, are certificates from the Library of Congress saying that I have a work in the Library of Congress acknowledged with the LCN. So these are things that you just don't get anywhere else. And I don't know what else to say. This has just been, that's why I've stuck with Robert W. Jones for now 6 volumes of the Art of Connection series. That's why I went with him out to Las Vegas to the Military Influencers Conference. And that's where I met Jeffrey Morris and a few others, Eric Ranks, who's on this call, and connected with those guys. And it's just been a wonderful powerhouse relationship ever since. So
Thank you, John. It's
I didn't
awesome,
know what
brother.
else you wanted me to hit on, but
That's
just hitting some stuff.
that's that's fantastic. Steve, if you scroll back up to the top where it says Tribe of Trust, I'm going to introduce some of the members of my Tribe of Trust. With any movement, no one person can lead the movement and spearhead the movement by themselves. So on this particular website on About Us, I've listed some of the people who are what I call stewards of this movement. People who have specific expertise that I do not. Anissa Avon and Kelly Howard, no, I stink at marketing. I can coach, train, and develop and all that, but I cannot market to save my life. Robert knows that as well. So I have specific people with specific expertise on my Tribe of Trust. Dr. Jamie doesn't know, but he'll be on the Tribe of Trust, right? But let's look at all these other folks that are on the Tribe of Trust. Hugh Massey, world-class behavioral architect. Mo Rock, the person from LA Union Tribune, keep scrolling down. Ira Rosen, who's not here today. Lenny Kama, former CEO of Jack in the Box Corporation. Stop right there really quickly for me, Steve. Lenny Kama was the first person to call me the high trust guy over 15 years ago. I can't wait to get him on the call. People like Gil Merrick know Lenny. Let CEO Jack in the Box led him to the highest stock evaluation ever over his 7-year period. 1 year after he left, the stock dropped by 33%. Why? Because there was a lack of trust in his company. Keep scrolling down for me, Steve. Beck, you know what's going to be our world-class publisher. Gil Merrick, incredible story, world-class trainer, facilitator, worked with many Fortune 100 companies. He's going to say a few words in just a minute. Keep scrolling down for me. Dr. Robert Curtad, DNA educational expert. Leon Morales, the president of DNA Behavior. Keep scrolling for me a little bit. Eric Ranks on the call. Unbelievable business for veterans in the nonprofit world, but has the world's only coffee and spirit brand that has a suicide hotline message on it, a message for behavioral health. He's on our team. Michael Moore here, former NFL player, the president of the current chapter of the NFL Players Association for Dallas, and connected to all of the NFL players. If you see this lady right here, beautiful lady, Miss Anissa Avon, I nominated her. She said, yeah, Jeff, I'll be on. I was so glad she accepted. And then my close friend, Monica Poole Knox. Mom, we're going to get your picture changed, okay? It's good enough for today, though.
It's all good. It's all good.
But if you read her background, you see companies like Walt Disney, CBS, Microsoft, Sony, Twitter. We have some powerhouse ladies in our collective, and it's growing. Monica, so glad you could join us today. Let's take, guys, we got about 4 or 5 minutes. Let's take 30 seconds if we could. If you're already in the book, would you just take 30 seconds to say why Trust Flow, why now? Then we'll end up our call. Who would like to be the first to share? I see you guys in different orders in the room, but who would like to share first? Go ahead, Gil.
I'll be very quick. Jeff, I met you 8 years ago. I finally looked at the calendar and did the math, and you instantly formed a basis of trust with me that only gets stronger with every year. But in my 35 years in the corporate and nonprofit workspace, all the work I've done either as a hands-on leader, training leaders, or coming into organizations as a consultant, the piece that's always been the determinant whether my work is going to be effective long-term or not boils down to the trust that can be built, that the individuals in the organization have with themselves, that they have with their teammates, and that the organization has with them and with other stakeholders. And this has been the missing piece, the being able to measure it, to train it, to sustain it. And so that's why when you asked me to take a look at this and come on board, I gave an instant yes. I think this is the underserved missing piece that's going to catapult it to our workability in organizations to a whole new level.
Thank you. Can't wait for you all to hear more from Gil. He's an expert in workability. So glad he's on the team. Who else would like to share really quickly? Why are you in the book? Why Trust Flow? Why now? Who else?
I say a little something, Jeff.
Go ahead, Dr. K.
Yeah, just hadn't known Jeff as long as most of you know Jeff, but we built instant trust. We talk a lot. I served in the Navy. Master Chief is on the call, so he outranks me there. I've been a professor, educational leadership, executive director of schools, area superintendent, principal, founded a charter school. But when I saw the moniker of trust, I've written over $100 million in grants. But I had someone to steal $2 million from me. And I was going through a down period over that $2 million because they stole that money from the kids. And that's our most important resource. So Jeff and I have talked about this quite frequently. I won't go deep into that bag, but that hurt me that they stole those $2 million from me. And that eroded my trust. And it took me a little while to come back from that. But I've been recognized by Robert Mueller for the National FBI Directors Award for Community Leadership. So trust is important when you're building a community, when you're building a school. You get your students don't care about how much you know, how many degrees you have. They just want to know you care about them. And Dr. Jenny, being an educator, you know how important it is to build the trust of a student. Our students are our most precious asset. It's not gold, it's not silver, it's not oil, but it is the young people. And that's why I'm on board with this, because we got to get them to trust us, because they're the next generation that's going to carry this forward. So excited about this movement, excited to be a part of it, excited to be a part of the iNet publishing family, and just really ready to go full speed, all gas, no brakes.
God, it's 1 o'clock. Can I ask you guys for some overtime? 5 minutes, would that be okay? 5 minutes of overtime. Who else would like to share on our call? Dr. Jamie or Robert Santana or anyone. Monica, get ready, because I'm gonna ask you to say a few words too. Robert Santana, go ahead,
Yeah.
brother.
I'll be real quick. I don't have a whole lot of accolades. Like, I feel like I'm the freshman here in this whole bunch. But the reality as a believer is that I know there's purpose and trust. And Jeff, you and I met each other through, Dr. Greg. And once we talked and we connected in different levels. And I was able to get connected with Robert W. Jones, my tocayo, and we connected. And to be able to be a part of something that's bigger is great, because my whole goal now is just, how do I make an impact? Once you understand what your purpose in life is, and my purpose is just to serve and to make an impact and to make a change, to move, touch, and inspire whoever I can in whatever ways that I can. And so this is just another way of me understanding that, even though I might not feel I'm ready, God opens doors for you to walk through. And when you walk through those doors, it's because you're ready. Whether you feel it or not, opportunities come to you because now it's being entrusted for you to do something about that. And to be a good steward is to be able to know, to be trusted in the little things, so that when the larger things such as this come into play, you're able to capture that. And I'm just humbled to be here amongst, all of you, my cohorts. And I just can't wait to see what God has in store, and the amounts of impact that this is going to be. We may never be able to measure how much of the ripple effect this will be, but the fact that we're starting something like that to make a difference in the world and for me to be a part of it, is simply my honor. So thank you.
Awesome. Hey, Steve, would you tell them, if you click on the claim your spot, if you haven't signed up in the book and enrolled in the book, you can click on the claim your spot, and you can sign up in the book before we leave the call. If you can't do it today, let's schedule another call to see if I can ask some questions and make things a little clearer. But as we end up, Dr. Jamie, would you say a few words? Frank, would you say just a few words? Monica, you'll be the last one to speak, but let's go about 30 seconds, 45 seconds for each one of you, so we can be out of here in the next 3 or 4 minutes. Dr. Jamie, let's start with you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I just want to say, after 30 years of being in the school business, the K-12 business, I realized that we have not developed humans who have the skill of trust. And part of what I want to do, and part of what I've learned from Jeff and working with him over the last couple of years, is really the great need out there for us to really make this visual for folks, not only the learners that are in the school buildings today, but their families and even the generation beyond. It's been 30 years
of the same industrialized approach without focusing on some of these durable skills, if you will. And trust is the most foundational skill, what leads, in my mind, to human flourishing. So I'm excited about being a part of this book. And thanks, Jeff, for everything that you do and bringing me into the fold.
Thank you, Dr. Jimmy, brother. Love you, man. Appreciate it. Frank Crump, I call him General. There's two people that have the title General in my lives, right? Because I don't follow easy. I don't have really good followership if I don't respect you and think that you have something more to offer. That's General Anissa Avon, who's on the call, and then General Frank Crump. General Frank Crump, sir, can you speak for a few minutes, 3 seconds here?
Yeah, sure, Greg. Jeff, appreciate it, man. I'm really impressed with the group of people and the credentials that they all bring to the table. I think trust is certainly something that blends into the creating of character in people. And we're in this country and around the world, as we see things going on today, there's a lot of lack of trust. And certainly there's no character in a lot of people as well. They don't even want to believe in the truth or mistell the truth, if you will. So yeah, I think what we're putting together here with all the key people, the founders, if you will, it's a good thing. I really believe that it can turn into something great. And I say that because of what I'm hearing people say today from their own minds, their own experiences, and their own heart. So yeah, I'm happy to be a part of it. And let's kick some butt.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is Jenny.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, from a wide angle. Trust.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and first of all, I just automatically went to education and learning, teaching, training, receiving, and that kind of thing. And trust falls into a behavior. Everything we do falls into a behavior. It's cognitive, it's emotional, or it's psychomotor. And I mean, that has been studied. And it's exciting for me to look at it this way because I don't think others have. The cognitive part is usually what people concentrate on. That's the intellectual. But the other is attitudinal. And there's a lot of attitude that makes up trust. So I think I'm going to enjoy it from that aspect. But one thing I want everybody to think about is that trust, we look for it in others. We need to look for it in ourselves as well. We need to trust ourselves. We need to teach and learn from ourselves. We need to develop it ourselves. And we find it in ourselves and others through interviewing ourselves and as we interview others that we see. And I mean, trust is everywhere. You have to have it. You can't have relationships. We already said relationships in sales, how important that is. Okay, so we got to develop trust as a skill as well, not just as something that we know and understand. Anyway, I wanted to pass that on.
Thank you, Dr. Jenny. If you need to leave, go ahead and leave. We'll have one more person say something. That's my good friend, Monica Poole Knox. She's not feeling very well, Monica. Thank you for joining us today. I know you're not feeling well, Monica.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I really appreciate being invited to this call, and I'm so excited about this project. Probably what I'll just share just a few seconds here is Jeff and I met probably about 16 years ago. And I know it because of the ages of our kids. We met personally through the U.S. Marine Corps connection. Her husband is a Marine, former Marine. He's retired. And so living in San Diego, we had a community of folks and I was introduced to Jeff. And we were both going through some pretty challenging life circumstances. And our kids were young. And it's funny because his daughter's a year younger than my son. And we have pictures of them when they were toddlers, and she has always been trying to catch up. She keeps thinking she's going to overtake my son and get older than him. One day she said she's going to take him and get older than him. So we've always had some fun with that. But Jeff and I met at a very tenuous time in our lives, and we didn't develop trust through more of a business relationship, but just more of on a personal relationship. And it was a really powerful time because of the struggles I think we were just both going through separately. And then I think it evolved into more so working together. Um, but I would agree with, what was said earlier is I think one of the challenges that people have in this trust or society is that they don't trust themselves. And when we don't trust ourselves, it's really hard to extend trust to others. Um, we oftentimes break our own promises to ourselves. We aren't obedient to what the Lord is calling us to do. And so that extends into relationships with others, and it just breaks down the whole system. I told Jeff when he called me about this project that I felt saying yes to this was being obedient because I have been probably running from this for a while. In terms, I'm an author, I write. You guys have seen my background. I do quite a bit of things, but for some reason, this area was just an area that I was struggling with. And when he called me and said, I really want you to be a part of this, I knew I needed to say yes. And that was my obedience to what the Lord was calling me to do, and me going back to trust in Him, and that I could help contribute to this work. So this is very personal to me. Jeff is my brother. I love him. I love his wife, his family, his kids. We go way back, and I'm just so honored that he would invite me and my family to be a part of this and work with such an esteemed group of professionals and humans as what we have on this call. So thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Mom, for sharing. If you need to go, go ahead, but we're going to open up the floor for questions. Anybody have any questions before we go? A comment before we go? We're going to open it up. Anybody? Open up your mics if you do. Go ahead, Gil.
Just real quick, this website, is it online and available to share now, or is this for the presentation today?
No, yes, sir. It's mytrustflow.com. Yes, sir. You can share it.
mytrustflow.com. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I'll send a follow-up email so that everybody has it. Any questions? I don't know if Brent's still here or Yvonne. Comments? Anybody that's still here have a question or a comment? You all, thank you so much for today. It was an honor today. If you have any questions, would love to sit with you one-on-one. If you got an email from me, you probably have some of the research that we've engaged in. I look forward to a future conversation real soon. Steve Jamison, thank you, my friend. We'll bring you back on a future date to share more about pitch as it continues to grow. As we go globally, I'm looking forward to being a partner with Pitch too. Everybody, thank you so much for today.